Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and we're going to change things up a little bit, and today we are going to be talking about conspiracy theories. And the specific conspiracy theory that we will be talking about today is the lunar moon landing of 1969. So I'm going to give you a bit of a background history about it. So in 1969, on July 20th, the first steps were supposedly taken on the moon by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, or that's at least what the government wants you to think. And to first start out, I personally believe that this was a fake moon landing. It was filmed on a set by the government and NASA. And my first main reason why I think that is the most possible explanation would be because the United States at the time in 1969 were so desperate to beat Russia in something, because Russia's their NASA type of corporation, their space corporation, they were way ahead of whatever the United States was doing at that time. So American government and America NASA were so ready for something to be done that we done before them, and the main thing that people were wishing to be done at that point was the moon landing. So the first piece of evidence I'm going to give you is that the flag moved. When the people, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, when they were first walking on the moon and they placed down the flag, you've probably heard, they placed down the flag on the moon, and the flag moved. It waved. On the moon, there is no wind, and there is no possible explanation for why the flag moved, other than they were filming on a set and they used a fan to keep up the flag, and then the flag moved. That's my explanation. And you can tell me yours down in the comments below, but I personally think that is high up there in why it was fake. Another piece of evidence was there was weird shadows on the moon whenever they landed. So whenever they first landed on the moon and they got out of their ship, or the Apollo 11 or whatever it was, they got out and they stood on the moon, and the sun was on this side of them. So their shadows should have been right here behind them. But their shadows were facing towards where the sun was at that point, because apparently the sun was behind where they had the camera set up or whatever they had. So there was weird shadows, and they cannot be explained to this day. They did not have other weird light sources, but apparently there was weird light sources. So that's something that is very mysterious, and if you guys want to argue out in the comments, go for it. So another thing, there was a rock on the moon, and there was the letter C on it. It wasn't just like naturally carved C. It was a C. It was a perfect C, and it was right on a rock, a C. And it looked like it had been written in Sharpie, and it looked like it was maybe a prop rock. Like, you know, sometimes in sets they have they label things so that you know where they go. I think that they labeled a bunch of rocks, and this one happened to be labeled with a C on it. So they had to place it in the sea, but I think the person who placed it there must have screwed up, and they put the sea facing towards the camera, and that's how it ended up having the sea rock on the moon. And I think that was a mistake, and I think that it was just a prop, and it was fake. Another thing is, whenever they landed on the moon, there was no impact crater where their ship, or their whatever they were in, where it landed. There was no crater in the moon to show that they had landed there. There was nothing. But they did have footprints whenever they walked on the moon. How could there be footprints, but there wasn't an impact crater from where a huge spaceship landed on the moon? Why was there no impact crater, but there was footprints? That's weird. So personally, I think that's kind of insane to think about. And whenever there was pictures of Neil Armstrong's on his feet, that of his shoes, and there was striped lines on it, and then there was a footprint on the moon, and it looked nothing like his or Buzz's footprint. And I think it was a stage footprint, and they messed up, and it was not the same as the ones that they were supposed to have. Another sort of thing that goes along with this is whenever Neil looked at the camera, I guess, there was a little weird thing on his helmet, and it was weird shape, and it looked kind of like a stage light. So maybe they were standing in front of the lights and it happened to catch the glare in his helmet and they couldn't edit it out. So personally, I think that may be why. And keep in mind that at the time that they were filming this, camera work wasn't so well, and so they weren't able to really Photoshop the small things that you might see in like videos now. Another thing was there was hidden cables. So you know how like when they were walking on the moon, they were like anti-gravity and floating everywhere and all that stuff. So I personally think they had cables and they used those and they were like hooked up to them like bungee cables, not just like cables. And they were like jumping around and they were pretending they were in space and all this kinds of crazy stuff. And they were pretending in space. But at one point in the space video, you could clearly see that there was a cable and it stretched up from the back of their spacesuit and it stretched up and you could see it. And I think it was a glitch in their camera work and you could very, very clearly see the cable. So that is also another piece of evidence that I think is crucial to understanding why I think this is a fake moon landing. Now keep in mind, before you yell at me at school or wherever you see me, that this is just my thoughts. This is just a conspiracy. It may not be real, but this is personally what I think. So, that's the end. That's what I think. You guys can tell me what you think in the comments, and please remember to like and subscribe, I guess. And, so hope you have a wonderful day. And if you don't like this video, make sure you comment below and tell me whatever videos you want me to make. So, thanks. Bye.